Hey there guys, it's Metro, and today we are back with the Arcway. This one is pretty cool, man. Finally got revered with the Night Fallen a couple days ago. Got this recorded a couple days after that, and it was interesting. We're going to show this video off, especially because it's the Arcway, but also because we got a Brewmaster. Ooh boy, a Brewmaster. And a Demo Warlock, which are kind of out of favor right now. And then we have Arms Warrior, and I think that guy's Arms anyway. I don't know. To be honest, I did not expect to record this. I just kind of pressed record, so I didn't. I'm assuming this dude's Unholy, and that dude's. Oh no, he's Fury. I can see the two weapons. All right, so Fury Warrior, Arms is not being played right now. Fury, Unholy, Demo Lock, Brewmaster, and of course Holy Paladin. It's probably going to be one of the last ones I do as healing. I recently made the video on how to heal, why to heal, when to heal, etc. Hopefully you got, or yeah, DPS as well on that topic, obviously. The public service announcement. Hopefully you guys check that out, because that is probably one of the most important videos I could ever make. It's going to be a slow received message, but once it's received well, I think you're gonna see the game's healer community just expand greatly. People are going to get a lot more interested in it. I already know people I've talked to in the guild that are loving the idea of being able to do a lot of DPS as a healer, and of course, improving their play is also a big thing. So I will talk about this dungeon a little bit first. That's the first thing I want to talk about. This dungeon has an insane amount of trash mobs in it, all right? And you're going to see, because of the length of the video, 28 minutes, guys. This is the longest one I've ever done on this series here. And there's a lot of standing around and a lot of deliberation. This is a group of pugs right here, and it is fucking brutal. I hate healing pugs for this reason alone, because I just feel like so handcuffed. It's like, all right, this tank, here we go, Brewmaster. But we'll talk about the dungeon before we talk about that. A lot of trash. There's this circular area in the middle here where you need to pretty much clear out all of it. Maybe you don't have to clear out all of it. I'm not 100% sure, but the boss is going to be in here. The final boss is going to be fought in here, and then you're going to have to come back through here on the final boss. You'll see the mechanic of it. It's very similar to Vanessa Van Cleef, if you remember that encounter from Cataclysm. Very interesting mechanic. But yeah, there's kind of like two types of mobs in this dungeon. Just like straight up trash, which does absolutely nothing. And then there's just god killers, like this banshee type mob. There's these like arcane, big old arcane dudes. There's these inquisitors, like the dudes with the eyes. Like, some of these mobs are freaking crazy strong. And because we're in a pug, people like slack or go AFK or just don't do very good damage every once in a while, and it's really difficult. Some of these mechanics, like for that Banshee, every second she puts up a stacking healing reduction towards your group, and she's constantly doing AoE damage. So it's like after a few seconds, you just can't heal anyone anymore. It's just, you're not going to be able to heal them. So you need to kill the mob quickly, or and make sure you're interrupting like constantly and all this. So I don't know. I like the dungeon's design. It's a very interesting idea. There's like these doors that are locked. I think it's random as well, like which path you can take. There's 5 bosses in here, so it's one of the larger dungeons boss-wise, that's for sure. But yeah, there's different ways you could approach each boss based on these doors. And I do think it's random. It's probably procedurally generated each week, just like Violet Hold. But regardless, the doors come into play on the final encounter, as you have to remember which ones were open and which ones were not. And then, of course, you have to choose the path you're going to take. So when I did this on the beta, if you guys watched the video, I did this on the beta before they made it Mythic only. I did it on my Demon Hunter, and this was the way we went. We went up those stairs to the left there, but then we're noticing here as a group that you cannot actually do that because the door is closed. That main door is closed. And on the beta, that wasn't the case. But this fucking Brewmaster, what a surprise, playing Brewmaster, and he is clueless. So yeah, I'm not gonna talk bad about Brewmaster, okay? I triggered some guy pretty fucking hard the other day, apparently. On the Brewmaster artifact thing, I made a joke like, oh, the best way to optimize the Brewmaster artifact is to log off and play on a different tank. And it's clearly a joke, right? I mean, like, come on, I'm not serious about that. And the guy's like, oh, you lost all credibility. It's like, okay, anyway. So yeah, let's talk about Brewmaster. We'll talk about the dungeon a little bit more as we go through it. But yeah, Brewmaster. I am really surprised to see a Brewmaster right now. It's kind of like Discipline. It's like you got to be really interested in playing it. This guy's pretty geared too. So the way he plays the Brewmaster, I would say, is similar to how I would play it. He's got that special delivery talent, though. I don't like that, but it does do good damage. And as you can see on these pulls, this is exactly what I expected from Brewmaster. Very, very, very consistently high AoE. And this guy's not doing it right either. He's got some things that he could be doing better. So I am actually really excited about Brewmaster tanking in 5-mans because once they're subsequently geared, like this guy's geared and he feels like a real tank now. I did some 5-mans early, like when I was 8-10 and everyone was still gearing like really early, like the first 4 or 5 days of the expansion, and there was a Brewmaster tank and this guy was getting destroyed. And this was on heroic. Like he couldn't tank. He basically could not tank. He would pull bosses and he would die every single time, and I would spam the fucking life out of him. I'd pop all CDs to keep him alive. And he was just getting annihilated, like if he wasn't wearing gear. So that's my brief experience with Brewmaster at an under geared level. Of course, a very small sample size, but on the beta, I had a similar experience. And then once I got around 840, which is where I ended up my Brewmaster on the beta, it was really feeling good. You felt really tight, you felt like versatile. You felt like gum. You know what I mean? Like you take hits really hard, actually. Like regular, I said this so many times now, but like, moderate to like middle level damage is really difficult for a Brewmaster, and that's kind of what all dungeon damage is when you're under geared. You're constantly taking like 10% swings every few seconds, and that's something that you struggle to deal with because your passive mitigations there with stagger, they don't actually help you deal with that. They just push it off to the side, and there's no way you could just constantly like purify that stagger. You're never going to be able to get rid of all that damage. So here's another, we fast forwarded a bit here. Here's one of those arcane, like the big arcane dudes. I'm going to show you why this one's cool. Eventually he does this like forward beam. Here it is here. Wait, maybe not. Can it be interrupted? No, it's this here. Yeah, so watch this. Boom! It's like Artanis's beam. Look how much damage that is doing to people. I almost one-shot that Warlock, and he only took like a tick or two of it. And then there's another Banshee there. So like this hallway is a mess. This is on the way to the first boss we encountered. It's a really cool idea. I like this kind of like one trash pack, really dangerous mob type thing. But I think this place is gonna fucking suck for Mythic Plus. I really do. I'm really scared for this and Quarter Stars from Mythic Plus. But we'll talk about Quarter Stars at the end here. Anyway, so yeah, back to Brewmaster. As you can tell, his health is staying high. Like, the thing is, he's not doing... Like, self-healing is moderate. They have some decent self-healing. They have decent ways to keep themselves alive, but none of them feel exceptional. They have a really good niche on, like, a single, really hard-hitting ability. That is where they dominate. They're the best tank in the game for that type of ability, without any question, without any fathom of a doubt. But in these, like, alright, constantly getting hit things, you really have to be almost outgearing the content, because stagger alone is just not going to save you. You need something up. So like it's a give or take, but I definitely, like, I'm saying this for sure, Brewmaster is my opinion, the worst tank in the game currently. But that's not any, like, somebody has to be the worst. You understand? Like, that's just how it works. So you shouldn't avoid it. Like, as you can tell, this guy's doing fine tank wise. He's just a dope, unfortunately. Like, I hope he's watching this, honestly, because, like, dude, this is how you don't tank 5-mans. Like, look at that. Look how much damage that did. That was insane. This is the opposite of what you do in a 5-man. He just kind of, like, runs around willy-nilly, pulling random mobs. I cut so much of it out because I have to. And then at the final boss, I'm trying to tell him, like, what to do, and he's just doing the complete opposite. And it's just so frustrating because it's like, dude, I know the game just came out, and I know these things are different for you, but... like, just, use the experience you've had in the past and figure this mechanic out after one attempt, and that's it. The end of the boss is coming up. But yeah, anyway, so this room is kind of cool. It's got all these little ads in it. They're kind of difficult to group up. So of course, this is another situation here where your conventional specs don't work very well. But so we're going to talk about demo on the boss. So let's get started there. Boss is coming up shortly. This guy, I can't confirm he's Demo, but I'm 99% sure, right? That purplish bolt there is Demo, right? But isn't he supposed to have, like, a ton of pets? I don't see any pets. Well, there's a few imps there, I guess, but I don't know. One of the guys in our guild is playing Demonology, and when I did the 5-mans with him, he had, like, 30 fucking imps running around. So I don't actually know what that is or how that's working, but one thing I noticed here is that Demonology's burst is fucking sad, and I don't know if it's the guy, if it's what, but Yeah, it's fucking sad. This dude's burst is pitiful. Like, it's worse than anybody I've ever played this game with. Like, I don't understand how it could be this bad. But he kind of like, he finds a way to catch up really heavily at the end of boss fights. So I don't know much about Demo, and the reason we're talking about it so heavily is because this weekend's Q&A is basically about warlocks. Like 90, well, not 90, but like 50% of the things that were discussed were people crying about fucking warlocks. And when I say crying, guys, oh boy, this was like a fucking sob fest here. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with Warlock. I don't know what the fuck you think is wrong with Warlock, but I promise you, it's not that fucking bad. Get over it, all right? It is not that bad. But anyway, I guess there's some systemic issues with the way Warlock operates. So yeah, let's take a look at the damage here. Of course, we have myself top in the burst. Just can't compete with the Holy Paladin, guys. Then we got Mr. Warrior there. I'm pretty sure he's Fury, right? Yeah. I'm surprised to see it because I felt like Fury was not very good burst, single target, but they were very good burst with arms. So anyway, there's the first mechanic, Netherlink. Yeah, you just try to make the area that spawns in between there as little as possible. So as you saw, the dude burst for like 40k. Like the first 10 seconds, he was doing like 40 and then up to 80k. And that's just like, oh my, are you AFK or what? Like I only see one ability coming out of him from the corner there, and it's that demon bolt or whatever. Oh, and there's the pet charge in. I wonder if that has something to do with it. But yeah, either way, not exceptional play, at least. Maybe it isn't Demo's fault. Maybe it's not Warlock's fault. But you're going to see him. Yeah, you see him shoot to the top here. Now, of course, that's because I've stopped damaging pretty much at this point. But yeah, and the monk, die. So I just don't feel like this guy's playing monk very well, because I would expect a lot better damage from monk. You see, the key is exploding keg. Exploding keg just does so much freaking damage. It's unbelievable. But yeah, there you go. There's the final chart here. Boss almost dead. Fury looks like what I would expect it to look like. I didn't realize they had that kind of burst, actually, so that's cool. Maybe that guy got good procs or something like that. But regardless, yeah, I'm expecting that from Unholy. Definitely very good damage. Very easy, consistent damage. And then Warlock, yeah, 140k. I mean, I don't know how geared the guy is. I assume he's as geared as everyone else. When we formed this group, it was like 840 was the requirement. I'm 845, so I'd imagine most people are over 840 in this. I think everyone is at this point. So yeah, that's not bad, not too shabby. But of course, Brewmaster, I really am surprised how little damage that guy did. I mean, I basically could have destroyed his... If I actually... So the reason... So we're back to the healing thing here. The reason I am doing such little damage on some of these bosses is because I've never healed these fights, and I don't want to make a mistake that causes a wipe. And in fact, I do on the third boss, and I cut that out, of course. But it's pretty embarrassing. I try to do a lot more damage than I should, and this mechanic sneaks up on me. I didn't realize how lethal it was going to be. This chain mechanic that links people together. We'll talk about that when we get there, but I did not expect it, and I fall behind, and we die because of it. So if they had a complaint, they have every right to exercise it, but of course people are too fucking clueless in this game to even realize that. So, and now you see this bubble that I'm standing in, it increases your haste by 50%. I think it also increases magic damage you take by 50%, something like that. So it's like, yeah, you're going to stand in it, right? Like, it doesn't even fucking matter how much extra damage you take from it. Your haste is increased by such an enormous amount that you just do 1 billion damage. But these guys are not, they don't have the brain that I have, I suppose. Maybe they don't realize it. They don't see the debuff. But regardless, I guess the ideal situation is to pull the mobs out of the bubble, and then the DPSers stand in the bubble. So kind of like tank them right on the side. Look at this guy, like kiting, running away. He's at 75% health. Very good tank here. But when we did this on the beta, everybody would like immediately, like they would use the orb, the sphere, or whatever it is, and go right to the boss the second the trash was dead. In fact, I think a few times I did this, people wouldn't even, they would just pull the trash, and as soon as the sphere was up, although I don't know how it works here. I'm not sure if this trash does it, but regardless, whatever we did, we would kill the trash in a way that thing was used for the boss, and it would just trivialize the boss. Like it was a free bloodlust, you know what I mean? Not even, it was a free triple lust, basically. Yeah, there it is there. So as soon as that goes up, people would pull the boss, and that would be that. I would pull the boss as a tank as well, but people would go nuts. They're like, pull, 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 because it only lasts for a little bit of time, I suppose. And these mobs are not really threatening. But the boss itself seems not threatening either. He's got this mechanic where he like picks a person and locks them in a prison, but you just click on the thing and get them out of it. Then he's got a bunch of AoE damage, and I don't know. The dungeon's bosses seem very hit or miss to me. Of course, I am over gearing the content. I think all of us in this group are. Anybody who's asking for a 5-man Mythic group made of 840 is going to be obviously over gearing it, since that is what it drops. So it's tuned. You know, what do you think? What do you think Mythics are tuned towards? I think closer to 820 would be safe to say. We did them at like 815 to 820 the first week, and they were a little tough, especially since, you know, our healer, I wasn't healing, I was tanking at the time. You saw some of those videos. I was tanking at the time, and I was still learning prot, and then our healer was a resto shaman. He was still learning, especially damage and stuff like that. So just a little bit of gear goes a really long way in those roles. But yeah, I hear it's going to be like, I think the closer you are, the more damage you take. Yeah, that's definitely what it looks like. Or maybe you could even hide from that. I'm not 100% sure, but regardless, I say I don't give a fuck. I'm going to stay in, keep doing the deeps. And you see Holy Paladin. This is a good example here. Holy Paladin is just really capable, a capable damage dealer. Now, we've also seen people on the video that I made about this talk about how other healing specs are not capable, and I'm going to urge you guys against that confirmation bias. It is definitely not the case, okay? I know some specs do not have the burst that Holy Paladin has. That is 100% obvious. I think anybody, you know, when you see me use wings on the pull to do damage, it's not an incredible damage CD, guys, all right? It does not really help me as much as you think it does. It just allows me to do Holy Shock more often, which, yeah, is definitely a big DPS increase, but it's not like it's just like tripling my damage. Without wings, I can do a good amount of damage too. It's just be a little bit less. But yeah, so I think any healer can do good damage. All right, I've seen Holy Priest, I've seen Druid do exceptional damage. Discipline too, there's like some things that they can do, but unfortunately they're kind of like behind the 8 ball from the get-go because, yeah, they just have a lot to work with, and none of it is better than anything else. You know, like they're the master of none equivalent. You know what I'm saying? Like they can do good damage, they can do good healing, but they can't do great at either. And that's the big issue. When you're trying to min-max, you have to be able to play something that can do great. In fact, that's one of the big things I talked about in the video. I gave the tips about 5-mans. Like you can't just play what you want to play sometimes. People are going to say, oh, that's stupid, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, if you're going to take Mythic, you know, if you're going to push for Mythic plus 15, when you're, especially if you're not fully raid geared or, you know, out gearing shit, then even if you are fully raid geared, some of the stuff in there looks insane. So yeah, guys, you need to really consider an alt for that kind of thing. Like you need to be playing the best spec that you can play in the role that you can play, because if not, you're just gimping yourself. Even like a slightly less geared character, like for example, if you have no battle reses in your group, well, you're fucked, guys. You're gonna die at some point, and a battle res is just like a run saver. It really is. And same with tanking. Like if you have a tank who cannot self-heal at all, then you are in trouble, because at some point the healer is going to fall behind, or at some point the healer is going to die, or even, you know, he's going to have to sneak out more damage, and you need to keep yourself alive. These things are very important in 5-mans. It's very different in raids. Obviously, it's a much more conservative, controlled environment in raids. But in 5-mans, these types of things are all that matter. Like you need to know how to do this, and you need to know when to do this. So I think it's really important that people get in that mentality now, and that's why I made the video about healers doing DPS as a public service announcement, because I don't think a lot of people are there right now, and I don't know what to say about it. I've commented on almost every comment on the video, and I think like the most obvious thing that I've said to people is that people just don't want to get better. They don't. They're content being mediocre, and I don't know why you're playing the game if that's the case. I really don't. I know this isn't like a professional sport, and you're not being paid to play, and you know it's whatever. But I don't know, man. I think if you're playing this video game, especially passionately, right? Like you're playing at the launch, so obviously you're excited about it. Just try to be the best you can be, you know? So anyway, we're back to boss stuff. Here's another example of the Warlock's just fucking pitiful burst on the pole, but he's starting to climb up a little bit. Now, as you see here, I'm being really conservative. I didn't even use wings on the pole here. The first boss in this dungeon where I didn't, and it's because the previous pull we did on this, I wiped this basically. I used everything on the pole, of course, to do damage, and then I really underestimated that mechanic there. You see that? Of course, they didn't do very well with it, but it tethers 2 individuals together, and the 2 people have to run away. And then that mechanic there, it sneaks up on people really hardcore. People don't seem to grasp it. He just teleports to a player and starts like doing this frontal cleave thing, so you got to pay attention to that. But anyway, the tether it ties two people together, and so there it is there. Those two people are tied together, and they have to get away from each other, otherwise they're going to die. And now I could heal them, of course, right? Like to keep them alive longer. But I just didn't expect it. I was like, that's fine. It's a basic-ass mechanic. Everyone knows how to do this mechanic. But yeah, people kept dying to it, and it got out of control. So that was my fault, 100% my fault. That was a mistake that I made because I was trying to do too much damage. I was like assuming these people would do the mechanic, assuming the mechanic would not be dangerous, and I was completely fucking wrong. So you're going to make these mistakes as a healer, guys. This is how you improve at the game, okay? Making a mistake is the best way to learn. It really is. And I don't know why people are so scared of that. The amount of people I talk to, like, oh, I'm just not ready for Mythic rating. I'm just not ready for... I'm just not comfortable doing DPS as a healer, all this. It's like, it's just a fucking video game, guys. Like, anybody can do it. Do you understand? You're a human being. This video game was made as easy as possible for you. Like, at no point was it ever challenging. Don't even get me fucking wrong here. But, like, anyway, yeah. So let's focus on the shit that's happening here. So we pulled 3 packs of mobs, all right? And one of them is that Banshee shit that makes us take, like, no healing. So... here's a good fucking example why I hate pugs, because this guy is just clueless. Honestly, this monk is just beyond clueless. I have to bubble because there's like 8 casters are all focusing on me. He does nothing to try to stop that. We have a fucking Death Knight. The dude, I haven't seen the dude grip anything, not a single fucking grip once. There's a caster over there just chain casting on people. Don't bother gripping it, dude. Yeah, don't bother gripping it, man. No big deal. Your pet? No. It can grip. No, don't even. No, it's just a fat abomination. Don't even worry about it. I'm sure in Heroes of the Storm you don't, as Stitches, you don't grip anything anyway either. So no big deal, dude. Just keep playing how you want to play. But yeah, anyway, that's that. So that was a really dangerous pull. And these mobs, they turn into fucking giant core hounds. I don't know if you can prevent that. I think you might be able to. It might be like a punishment cast, like the dude casts it and then you meant to interrupt it. And if you don't, he turns into a core hound kind of thing. I think this is a mechanic that was present in... Aconite Crypts, I think it was, right? Or Shadow Labs. Maybe it was Shadow Labs. The mob like turns into a core hound at the end if you don't kill it quick enough. But anyway, yeah, that's a bad thing. It does this crazy breath. Does this like this channeled breath. You can stun the mob despite being a giant fucking core hound, so that's cool. But yeah, it's gonna be a pain in the ass one way or the other. The trash in this dungeon is just a fucking pain. It really is crazy how much of a pain it is. But I like it. I'm glad to see that. I think a lot of people... I don't know how you guys feel about this. A lot of people have been complaining about the trash in dungeons. In fact, some people are like, oh, the Legion dungeons are the worst dungeons ever. And then their main proponent for their argument is there is too much trash. And guess what, guys? If you say there is too much trash in a dungeon, you're bad at dungeons. I hate to tell you. I hate to break it to you. That's the way of it, because the more trash there is, the less pulls you need. But anyway, we'll talk about that another time. So here's Fell Lord Zakun. Oh, wait, no, that's not him. It looks like him. I think they might be twins. Maybe this is his twin brother. He's got very different mechanics, though. He's got a big axe. He's going to do that. Shadow Slash ability sends out like a purple patch of purpleness to a purple player who's a warlock there. I think that's only purple because he is a warlock. If it was like a mage, it would be a blue patch. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, yeah, that's... yeah, pretty standstill, straightforward encounter. There's some bats. If you're scared of bats, this might be a tough fight for you. I think a lot of people are indeed scared of bats. And then there's Wicked Slam, some AoE damage. But you can take a look at the damage spread once again. You got some ads here. So, of course, you got the Warrior and Demon Hunter or Death Knight doing a little bit extra damage because of those ads. Warlock's just chucking. I don't know where that lightning bolt's coming from. Probably a trinket or something like that. But, yeah, he's just chucking away, slowly rising up the chart. Brewmaster slowly falling off, and once again, I'm just playing really conservatively. I do not want to wipe again. We have, at this point, this is like 45 minutes into the dungeon. This fucking recording, it's cut down to 28 minutes, guys. It was 139 minutes long. So I cut out over an hour of shit to put this video together, and that's why it's 28 minutes. I do not want these videos to be over 20 minutes. Ideally, they'd be 17 to 20 minutes. This is 28 minutes, almost 29 minutes. I do not want that, but there's no fucking option here because this dungeon just simply takes us too long to do, and there's too many things to talk about trash-wise, so I had to include as much trash as possible. But I cut out like a good 50% of trash and then a bunch of wipes on the final boss. So, yeah, we kill that boss. Got the Fury Warrior at the top there, Unholy right below it, and, of course, Brewmaster and Warlock looking a little weak there. So here's the final encounter. We're finally here. I'm going to talk to you about this, guys. So we've wiped like 6 times this now. So I'm like, all right, listen to me, you fucks. I'm putting markers down. We need to come through these ways. If at any point we're back here, we need to come through these ways, guys. Look, I'm typing all this out. Oh, the guy fucking pulls the boss while I'm over here doing this shit. So yeah, we got a really good, well, self-aware tank. So I basically can't do any damage here. On the previous pull, I did like insane fucking damage, but I decided just fuck it. It's not even worth it. Just save CDs here because the transition bit where you have to run is really dangerous, and it's just a little bit too difficult when people don't know what they're doing. So I kind of just stay here, punch the boss a little bit, do a little bit of damage. Main mechanics here are this the force bomb mechanic here. He's going to put these 2 things down, and then they're going to explode. It's very similar to Imperator Margok. It forces you back, and if you let it force you back, you're taking a lot of damage. So you need to quickly run through it. The faster you get through it, the less damage you take from it. So if you have a speed boost to get through it quick, that'd be good. His other main mechanic is that cast there. Every time he gets that off, he does more damage, so you need to try to interrupt that 100% of the time. And then I guess these little purple things are doing damage. It doesn't even feel like they are, but I guess the guy's moving them for some fucking reason. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's the main phase of the fight. There's not really much going on, but now he's gonna like pause time or whatever, and he's gonna send us into a random area in the dungeon. So immediately you need to press M. Hopefully you have that key bound. You need to open your map, and you need to find where the fuck you are. So we could have went that way, but this way is fine too, I guess. This way is a little bit longer, I think. Well, actually, so I don't know. It's confusing because you have to know where the doors are open, and I don't know exactly what it's based on. Maybe you guys paid a little bit more attention to this. I assume it's just based on where we started and what the dungeon looked like when we started, but it may not be the case because I've done this and we get to an area and the door is just closed. But that was on the beta, so maybe it's different now. I assumed that's what the strategy was. Like you have to go the right way. You can't just go any way, but that may not be the case. So I don't know. Tell me if you guys do know. Tell me. But anyway, I would just go up this path here, and this is obviously taking a very long time. You only have 2 minutes for this, by the way, and there's ads and stuff along the way. So yeah, you need to be very cautious, but you also need to be very quick because if you're not, you're gonna die. You did just wipe at 2 minutes. Once the expiring time happens, it's done. You're dead. The fight ends. So yeah, we are back to the middle, and I guess that was fine. But I don't know. I didn't feel like that was the right path. Like my instincts were telling us that we were making a mistake. But of course, that could have just been a little bit of scar tissue from the 6 wipes previously, where the guy just runs around in circles. Literally, I should have showed you this one. It's really fucking funny. The guy, like you know how there's like an inner path and an outer path along the exterior there. He goes down the outer path, then bangs a fucking left and goes back through the inner path, and then bangs another fucking left and goes back down the path we were just on. It's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, oh my god. But anyway, that's it, guys. So if you have any questions, let me know. I was really excited to show this off because of Brewmaster and of course Demo Warlock. Now I have Core to Stars recorded, so do you guys want to see it? I don't know at this point. I'm kind of done with Holy Paladin. I want to start doing stuff on Blood. But I do have Core to Stars recorded, and it's a really cool dungeon. So if anybody, even one person wants to see it, tell me, and I'll just make a video on that quick during the week. But anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. Oh yeah.